I'm M. Sauter, better known as Pints and Panels.
And I am Don Tse, better known as the Dawn of Beer.
Welcome to episode 90 of the All About Beer podcast. Every month, we talk with leading experts and take a deep dive into one or maybe two topics in beer. This month on the show, we're going to talk about some divisive raw materials. And do they deserve that ire? I don't know. Maybe not. But first, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And please visit allaboutbeer.com/support to support this show and others. Don.
Yes.
Today we are going to be talking about Sabro hops and crystal
Yes.
malt. Do
Yes.
you hate them like everybody else does?
I'm not deliberately an iconoclast, but I actually usually find myself being quite iconoclastic because I like both of those things. I do think that some brewers maybe overuse them, and then that maybe is why some people don't like them. But I mean, where else are you gonna get coconut in a beer, right? You gotta
By
use the
adding
Sabro.
coconut. I don't know, man. By using it as an adjunct.
Yeah, how about you? Do you?
I
You-
don't like Sabro hops.
Oh,
I don't like it. I think I've realized it's a neo-Mexicanist thing. Like I just don't really like
any of the
that.
Neo?
I just,
Really?
yeah, nah, it's like that, like watermelon coconut. No, I
How
don't
can we be friends? Like you're
know.
breaking my
Wait, we're
heart.
friends? I,
Well, yeah,
no
I
one
get
told me that.
Well, now I know why we're not.
Yep, it's only because of neo-Mexicanist hops and not
Yeah,
about a
okay.
lot. Okay. But we have some really great guests today. We have four guests that are going to talk about maybe why we should look at this stuff with fresh eyes and not hate them so much. And maybe they'll turn my maybe I'll like Sabro after this.
Yeah, and then we can be friends.
Maybe. At first, if you would like to support the All About Beer podcast, reach out to podcast@allaboutbeer.com. Speaking of supporting the show, here is a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing's non-alcoholic beer tastes so good, you won't believe it's non-alcoholic. Their brews are available at over 75,000 grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, and restaurants nationwide. Or you can grab some of their limited time offerings directly from their website. That's where you'll find exciting innovations like their first ever nitrogen-infused dark brew, Emerald Cliffs. And right now, you can save up to 25% and get a free glass and unlock access to exclusive brews when you sign up for the Athletic Club and purchase 4 or more six-packs. Go to athleticbrewing.com to get brews shipped directly to your door or find retailers near you. Near Beer. Terms and conditions. Certain limitations apply. Athletic Brewing Company. Fit for all times.
Escarpment Labs is the official yeast partner of Pink Boots Brews. Their Pink Boots yeast is a versatile German Kolsch strain that works across different beer styles. In light beers, it delivers bright, white wine-like aromatics. In hop-forward beers, it drives clean, citrus-forward biotransformation. Every purchase supports the Pink Boots Society, with 15% of proceeds funding scholarships and professional development for women and non-binary people in brewing. To place an order, email sales@escarpmentlabs.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Salvo, a 100% hop-derived variety specific aroma extract from Hopsteiner. Get all the benefits of variety-specific concentrated hop flavor without the unnecessary bitterness or vegetal matter. Salvo provides clean, concentrated aroma, scalable dosing, and yield savings efficiency. If your kettle and centrifuge could talk, they'd ask for Salvo by name.
Eric R. Sannerud cares a lot about farmers and hops. He is president of Sannerud Hop Consulting, connecting brewers and farmers. Eric first fell in love with hops as co-founder and farmer CEO of his own hop farm. He writes the Hop Notes newsletter, providing expert hop market analysis and education. Eric serves on Minnesota's Rural Finance Authority, the Minnesota Agricultural Water Quality Certification Programs Council, and is a TED speaker. Eric farms flowers outside of Milaca, Minnesota, with his wife and daughter. Jude LaRose is co-founder of Hop Butcher for the World from Chicago, Illinois. The brewery focuses on fresh, hop-driven beer and seeking the edge where future flavor and aroma exists. Welcome to the show, Eric and Jude.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Sam.
All right. So Eric, I want to start with you. Can you walk us through a little bit about Sabro as a hop and its history? So for people who aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, definitely. Sabro was HBC 438. It was released as Sabro in 2018 by the Hop Breeding Company, which is HBC, which is a joint venture of Haas and YCH. It has Neo-Mexicanus lineage. It's from which Neo-Mexicanus is like a feral hop variety that's common in North America. Um, and it's a very, very good yielder, especially if you consider it's an aroma hop primarily. That's what it's used for. It has about 1,000 pounds more per acre than Simcoe or Citra. It's in the like upper 2,000s per acre, at least over the last 3 years, which kind of puts it in competition yield wise with like alpha hops, which
So sorry to
generally aroma
interrupt. When you
hops are.
say 1,000 extra pounds per hop, 1,000 extra pounds per acre, is that what you said?
Yeah, it's about 1,000 pounds per acre higher yielding than Simcoe or Citra.
To get to about 2,000. So you're saying 100% higher yielding? Did I do my math right?
Simcoe gets about, sorry, Sabro is like 2,700 and up in the last 3 years.
Okay, so
Simcoe and
maybe
Citra are just on the other end of 2,000. So it is about 1,000 pounds more, but the rate, whatever that percentage wise, you're
50%.
gonna, there
Okay,
you go.
sorry. Sorry to
Okay.
interrupt, but that math kind of freaked me out. Thank
That's a
you.
high that's a high
It's very high.
yield.
That is a high yield. That's what I'm trying to say. That's wow. Okay, back to you, sir.
I'm just saying it's in the same range. I mean, the point of all that is came out in 2018 from HBC, which is co-owned by Haas and YCH, and that it's a very high yielding aroma hop. And right now, for a long time, really, it's only grown in Yakima Valley, so we don't have a lot of sort of distinct state terroir to play with. And of course, what does everybody know about Simcoe? You can all say it with me. It starts with the letter C.
Cat pee.
Calicious.
Caddy.
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 Coconut? Coconut?
Coconut.
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 Coconut?
Coconut.
Wow, okay, all right.
Right.
Coconut. That's the word I was thinking of.
Oh, I was
It has
thinking
an
cat.
extremely
I always think about cat pee. So,
Same.
yeah. Okay. Anyway, coconut. That's the better answer. Go, continue.
coconut is maybe the number one thing people say about um Sabro's aroma, and it's extremely divisive level of coconut.
Do you remember back in the day when it came out what the chatter was? Were people really into this? Or was it immediately like, what the hell is this?
Jude, what did you think in 2018? In 2018, I was still growing my little baby public hops in Minnesota and was blissfully unaware of Sabro.
I think that towards the end of 2018, we were trying to get our hands on it. The first time, yeah, because I think the first time we brewed with it was a beer called Neon Green Relish. It was a Citra Sabro hazy double IPA, and that would have been in January of 2019. So I seem to remember that it was a hop that everyone was going for, um, everyone was after, and everyone was pretty high on it. And I don't remember if that occurred at a time when it still was just a number or if it happened when they had the press release and it was announced that it was Sabro. And I seem to remember kind of it had these like really flashy, bright colors and a certain type of font that kind of fit what the name was. But it seemed like everybody was on board right from the start, just because it smelled like nothing you'd ever smelled before.
Right.
Jude, did you get to use it when it was just an HPC? Is that you said that, right? Like, do you remember the first time you used it? Were you like, cool, or were you like, I don't know about this?
The first time we used it was definitely like, whoa, this is so cool.
Oh, okay.
It was, I think we read the descriptors first. I don't think we use it as a number. We were using HBC 472 in a
Ugh.
stout for a couple of years, and that had, the coconut descriptor on it. But, a lot of times we still go into hops blind. And then especially, I think we were sold by the description. So we said, let's just go and give it a go. I mean, I think when we rubbed it before we brewed with it, we were like, wow, this is pretty far out. But no one had smelled that kind of that coconut cream clementine, just really juicy, intense thing. Yeah, we were stoked. It seemed like everybody in our circle was stoked too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, I remember Sabro coming out with a bang and everybody I mean, there are definitely some people who didn't like it, but it was popular for a while. And then like, when did the backlash start? Because everybody seems to dislike it now.
Do you think
You
it's
know,
like
that's in.
dislike, or do you
Go
think
ahead,
it's
Eric.
like it got over its skis? That's what I always wonder about with this hop. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't like it in a beer, but I also wonder if like, oh, I don't know, what do we think it's like we all got tired of coconut, or do you think it's like the hype got ahead of it, or I don't know. I just think it's like not, I think it's
Mm.
overrated.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I like coconut in as a flavor component in like dark beers. But then the first time I ever had Sabro was in a single hop pale ale, and I was like, cool sunscreen. Because it's got the like
Yeah.
haziness. It was just I was like, and then that was a big turnoff for me, and I kind of anytime I saw it, I was like, I'm cool.
Well, I mean,
It
Jude, do
seemed
you still
to.
use it?
Yeah, we still do.
Okay.
Um, and it seemed to, I think at the time it seemed to solve that, hazy IPA is still gaining steam and
Hmm.
popularity. I feel like fruited sours are still increasing in popularity, just big flavor in general. Um, in every style of beer. So I think it really kind of like filled that everybody had a need or a desire to drink beers with flavors that they never had before and was all kind of hit you over the head. And really it delivered in ways that a hop hadn't delivered in that way. But yeah, I think there seemed to be it seemed like everybody loved it, and then everybody in your circle said they didn't like it anymore. But we've continued. I think we understand we could see why it's kind of a bully. Anything you put it around,
Yeah.
it kind of just dominates and overshadows. So you have to have
Uh,
like a lighter hand with it. But I understand I understand maybe the offensiveness. But we started to lean into kind of its singularity and what it could do. And maybe we're just like, let's just figure out ways to use it in ways that are really palatable and enjoyable, especially with the access that we get. But no, we still dig it. We're big proponents of it still.
yeah.
You
Okay.
can actually see this change in, using the USA hop acreage report from the USDA that they put out every year. It's really neat to sort of map the story of Sabro. So it peaked in 2021. So at 1,300 acres, the vast majority of those in Washington and a little bit of those in Oregon. And since 2021, it was down to 181 acres this crop year, all of which of that was in Washington, which is one of
Oh.
the largest declines over that period of time, certainly by percentage, and also is now one of the smaller acreage varieties that's even on the report. And so you can kind of watch like not really in real time, once a year, a little snapshot. But it peaked in 2021, its popularity, its interest level, and it's fallen on hard times. Certainly over the last couple of years is when it's had a lot of wax
Yeah.
to its
Why do you
acreage.
think that is? Is it just like like customer sentiment, brewer sentiment, or do you think there's some like hop breeders or because the way that you talk about its yield, I feel like as a farmer, I'd be all in on like if I could grow it, that is. You really think that it's just customer and brewer backlash that's driving this lower like growth?
It's probably that there's a lot less craft beer being made and sold. And then the second number one, the second reason maybe these are tied. I mean, you'd have to ask someone who like really knows
Hmm.
with this specific brand. But to me, it's like the reason for the drop off is there was just way too much in 2021. Like there was never really 1,300 acres of demand for Sabro in the world. It was probably
Uh,
more like, 200-ish. And we're sort of like every variety right now, especially these proprietary ones, they became extremely long in inventory. Um, there was a inability to manage the responsibility for the power that the owners of these varieties had, and there's just way too many of all of them. You can see the same story happen in like Citra Mosaic, Simcoe Acres. They were also all going up until 2021 and then started getting cut back. Just not as hard as Sabro because Citra, Simcoe, Mosaic are the Holy
Mm.
Trinity. They're sort of perma hops in every IPA these days, it feels like. But Sabro never made it to that echelon, and so it's had to be cut a lot more. That's
hmm.
my
Y-
take on why that change would happen.
and if it was the
Um,
first, real big hop since Mosaic to be released, and everyone was really excited to get their hands on the next big thing, or maybe like crown the next big thing. Um, that could have something to do with it. And then
Absolutely.
after that time, after Sabro gets released, then you have a lot of hops with similar kind of like Neo-Mexicanist
Yeah.
character to them that also kind of veer a little clementine, a little creamy, a little caramelly, a little coconutty, woody cedar, stuff like that. So it could just be we had more options to choose from a similar profile. And then maybe Sabro just got the short end of the stick on it.
Is there a lesson here? I'm not trying to like full house this, but like, is there a lesson for like the hop breeders that like, they're looking for new next, and there's lots of different stuff. And it's hop breeders, it's the USDA, it's also like Eric, you work with like Vista and all these other new hops that are coming out. Is Sabro's like decline giving hop breeders like, let's pull back, or is it still business as usual?
I would say that the whole hop breeding perspective has changed, and Sabro is just like happens to be the sort of really interesting example of what we've seen. But Judy did a great job of like setting the 2018 table for us. And like in 2018, hop breeding was like extremely, extremely hot. The success of initially Citra showed that there's a lot of money to be made, there's a lot of power to be gained, and there's a lot of flavors that were not being explored that brewers and consumers were really gravitating towards. Um, and it was all about hop reading back then. I always talk about it was like trying to shoot the moon, like find the most insane, intense, fruity, sweet, fanciful aromas of unicorn tears and moondrops, and like newness and hype was selling everything. It was selling your beer, Jude. It was selling you the hops in the beer. It was just new and exciting, and everything was the best thing since the last thing. And well, craft beer ran out of the hype train. That has like sort of car crash, dominoes falling into the hype train is out of hops. The hype train is out of new hops. Um, Frankly, I think most of the brewers I talk to these days are just like drowning in new varieties and new products and new trademarks and brands and marketing glitz. And I think what's interesting about like the Sabro story here is like hop breeding now, hops that are being bred now, priorities in hop breeding programs now are shifting from can we find the next magical unicorn hop that has an aroma that no one's ever experienced before to, I think, more on the agronomic side of like how efficiently can we deliver the flavors and aromas that we know that Jude and Jude's drinkers want.
Mhm.
And well, there's actually increasingly amount of hops that like have this Sabro type experience, but maybe not so much intensity that if you put Dulcita in a beer, yeah, it can have coconutty things, but it doesn't dominate in the way that Sabro was.
Hmm. Um, Jude, you said you still like and use Sabro, and so can you tell us what kind of beers you're using it in and what you think works well? And I don't want to lead the witness, but in my opinion, um, I don't think it works well in dark beers, which surprises me because I would think coconut should work in a dark beer. So, do you agree with that, or am I a weirdo? But it
No,
could
I
be
think
both.
that's I think it's a great question. I don't know. I think there's got to be a dark beer I've had it in. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's funny that we love coconut in our dark beers.
Yeah, candy
But as
beer.
soon
It's
as
my favorite.
it's in like a hoppy beer, and maybe that's it too, because all the other things that surround it, I mean, it's coming from a pretty potent hop. So do you want that character and kind of that grit and that polyphenol in a stout? And does it work that way, even though it's got coconut as a flavor or as like a descriptor?
Yeah.
We describe it kind of as like floating down like a lazy river. And we get really part of the reason I want to champion it is, or part of the reason we do champion is we get such great access, and we probably spend about, an hour pouring over it at selection, making sure that we get the right one. Because it does fulfill a need for us, and it does fill a niche, or a niche. We started using it the first time it was we would always pair an unknown hop with a known hop, like a Citra or a Mosaic, and kind of go there and parse out the differences. So we use it in a Citra Sabro beer and a Mosaic Sabro beer, and they really deliver results that you can't get with any other hops. And really, that's to just like it's got this intense, like juicy clementine character, and I don't know that we say like coconut cream pie, but we'll maybe say banana cream pie. And I think still in like people's hearts of hearts that they can't say no to you can't say no to the idea of like a juicy clementine banana cream pie. That still sounds like a beer that I want to drink. You just have to have kind of like a lighter hand. And again, we get such great access to it. Um, I'll joke in our Instagram posts that like I'll say like this is a hill that will die on that, we have some of the best Sabro in the country. And there's a little bit of marketing in that, but I think it's true. And then who doesn't want to drink, who doesn't want to drink a beer like that if someone's going to kind of make that claim? But I don't know. I still think it has its place as long as you place it nicely. And there's no way to like feel like you're floating down a lazy river of like banana cream clementine juice, in the tropics than without that hop.
Yeah.
So you mainly use it in hazies, or does it
Sorry. Yes. Don,
does
that was
it?
at the start of your question. Yeah, mostly in like juicy, hazy double IPAs. You got it. Not a lot of West Coast IPA. And yeah, I haven't really branched out too much into just kind of that juicy style.
Does Sabro work well with other hops better? Is there like a combo? You're like, oh, Sabro and whatever is like, because there's certain hops. I always think Nelson does this, where I'm like, a regular Nelson beer is fine, but when Nelson gets paired with another hop, it's like kind of there's some magic to it. Then you're like, oh, Nelson, I love. But like Nelson needs a buddy, in my opinion.
Yep.
Does Sabro have a buddy that you lean on?
I think Citra's a good buddy. I think
Citra is,
Mosaics, like
everyone is, yeah, those are some best friends. Those are some
everybody's
good
buddy.
BFFs.
Yeah.
Everybody's buddy. I think Mosaics kind of like overripe mango and blueberry character works really well with Sabro. Um, I think that like if you want to describe Sabro as almost like a hop that defies gravity and you need to tether it back to the earth, you need just something to like provide a little bit more edge. I could see kind of
Ooh,
Rowaka's like grapefruit, lemon, poppy, seed, blue bubble gum, or blue like cotton candy working really well with like the juiciness of the Sabro. It's got a lot. I think it just decides whether you really want to amplify or you kind of want to balance out, I would say.
can I just say that your flavors and tasting notes
Yeah.
are fantastic.
I'm
Jude,
drooling.
when does the podcast of you
Thank
just
you.
telling us about hops A to Z?
All
No.
About Beer Podcast, All
Not
About Beer
flattering.
Alphabetical,
Podcast
starting
Network
with
presents.
Autonum. Nobody
Jude
remembers
Yeah.
that.
describes hops.
A
Yes.
to Z, yeah. I've judged with certain people, and I've also like met when they people just talk about like lazy, like you've so like there's a blizzard outside right now during this record, and I am there.
Right on. That's
Um,
awesome. Thank
Jude,
you.
so
I'm gonna
thank you.
buy one of
Oh,
your
it's
beers
just
at a
talking,
Sabro next
with
time I
folks
see
like
it.
you
Yeah,
guys
this is
talking about beer.
it is the All About Beer podcast. So anyway, I
Um,
just wanted to say that was thank you for taking us on this journey. So
uh,
Thank you.
Jude, I want to connect back to something you said or you mentioned earlier, which was HBC 472, which was a relative of Sabro. Um, I personally, obviously, it did not take off the way Sabro did. I
Hmm.
personally hated beers with HBC 472, even though they're very similar. It's very similar to Sabro. So, do you have any insight into why two hops that are outwardly very similar, one resonated with customers and one did not?
Um, I feel like 472, we were using that around 2015 and 2016. Um,
Okay.
and then I think there's a big jump in brewing, especially those big bold American hops that happen over the course of the next 2 years or 3 years in a couple different waves. So it could be that. It could just been right place, right time. Could have been the name. Um, I'm not sure, but it also they weren't. It seemed like Sabro was hazy IPA seemed in my memory to be a lot more popular when it came out than when 472 was out. We still hadn't brewed our first hazy double IPA. So maybe it was just not identified
Oh,
at that and kind of get buried at the bottom. I don't know. We brewed a stout with like English, like UK Phoenix and HBC 472. And it still was out for a little bit after Sabro got released. Still, I know there was still kind of being like, marketed. But I'm not
Okay.
really, I don't know. I'm just as curious.
Okay. Eric, do you have any thoughts?
472, I'm not familiar with that number. That was,
Okay.
again, I'm being a baby growing. I was familiar with USDA 074.
Is that
That
similar to Sabro?
no, it's
No,
Vista now.
no, it's Vista.
Oh.
Oh, I know Vista.
That's what I those are the numbers I was playing with in 2016, 17, and 18.
Okay.
Well, actually, so Eric, we're gonna
I
end
seem
with
to,
yeah. Oh
sorry.
no, go ahead, Jude. I just want to hear you guys talk about hops forever. So continue, please.
I seem to remember too, like Neo-Mexicanus being something that was of great interest at the time. I think like starting with El Dorado and like the first time you heard that, um, and then I think at least for us, anything Neo-Mexicanus was like really exciting.
Yeah, it was like the
So
days
El
of
Dorado.
Zappa and Multi-Head and Medusa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we might have used Medusa before. I think we might have brewed with Medusa before Sabro. So I don't know. It was still like really Neo Mexicanos was still like a real exciting thing, kind of like to hear at the time. It
Yeah.
was just kind of this unknown thing, and you only had one example of it. So that might have done it for us.
Cool.
That's cool. Um, so Eric, I wanted to ask before we finish, and actually Jude as well. Is there wish do you have like a note or a tidbit or something you wish people knew about Sabro that maybe people
Pro or
don't
con?
know? Or yeah.
You want to go, Eric?
I think I shared it. Just like the interesting way that Sabro's acreage and market mirrors or shows some of um, the changing nature, the changing goals of hop breeding programs that are serving the craft beer market is, I think, the most fascinating thing from like a very macro level about this hop variety. And just as someone who doesn't really like the hop, I will just say that what I do like about Sabro, or my favorite Sabro beer, no offense to you, Jude, but your friends down there at Go Brewing, their NA Hazy IPA called Disarm is my favorite Sabro beer. I guess I should put that in quotes. I don't know, non-alcoholic beer. My favorite of any beer, alcohol or otherwise, that I've ever had was Sabro and the
Hmm.
Disarm Hazy IPA. And um, yeah, just maybe that super intensity is what helps make an NA Hazy IPA even get close to the hop expression that like a true Hazy IPA might have.
Awesome. I
Yeah,
think
it
that beer won
feels
gold too.
oh really? Oh, I need to try their stuff.
Hey, it's NA,
It's
they'll just mail it to you.
That's
It's so
true.
nice
That's
with
true. I've
tasting
actually
NA
I've
beer.
written about them. It feels like Sabro, the way that you describe it, Eric, it's like a cautionary tale, where it's like, yeah, we flew too close to the sun. We tried, like, this is what you want, guys. And everyone was like, no, actually, we don't want this. And then they're like, oh, okay, we should go back to doing what we should have done is try to maximize, like, create hops that are not unicorn tiers, but more, you know, hops that are maximizing acreage and are disease tolerant and other things that are probably more important.
Which is
Um,
interesting because Sabro is an amazing yielder and would be a
Yeah.
very efficient aroma hop. I don't know that Sabro's the poster child for like sort of, I don't know, breeding hubris or private program megalomania. I think that its story just mirrors like natural changes. I mean, the story of the hubris is just overproducing the hops that they had control over producing and causing sort of helping to
hmm.
abed the current market downturn that we're dealing with in US hops. That to me that's like it. And like maybe Star was like a poster child, but it's just part of the bigger tapestry of I don't know, failure to enact responsibility after accumulating the power.
Love the way you
Damn.
put that. Yeah,
But
that's
Jude still
great.
uses it, so it has
It's
some
really
sort
not
of
a
fandom.
brewer's responsibility to like know everything about a hop market, the owners of a hop, and blah blah, all the way down. I mean, Jude's job is to make really delicious, and in their case, extremely delicious hoppy beers. And so
Hmm.
Jude and other brewers are not forbidden from using Sabro or whatever, So
And Jude, anything to add before we finish?
I think it represents uh, a time, a place and time in history in brewing that I'm really fond of. and that we have a lot of memories. And there seems to be this like magical time that we're all pushing for flavor. After we had used it, we went out to our first selection, and we went to Peralt Farms. And what was really cool is like we were late for the tour, which meant we went straight to the farm instead of hopping on the bus, which meant that we ran into and met Jason Peralt for the first time because we were technically then early. And then he said, "Do you want to hop in the back of, my truck and I'll take you into the fields?" And, that was like a pretty cool moment. And right before that, we drank some Sabro beers in that back little bar that they have in the farm. So to me, I think there's still like a romantic element to it, but also um, that you just can't. It reminds me. Sorry, it also just kind of reminds me of a time when we thought we wanted the next Citra or the next Mosaic, so we were looking for that, and everyone was pushing for that. Um, and then we got something that was mind blowing and singular, but maybe we decided that's not what we wanted. And maybe we kind of came to the realization that there's not going to be another one like this, and there's not going to be another one like that. And that's okay. And so
That's
just
okay.
appreciate those more.
Yeah.
Well
Mm.
said, Jude.
A-
That's a
I
great way
love
to
it.
summarize
Yeah.
it.
You're going to make me
And,
cry.
and then it really changed the way that we viewed the hops that would be released after Sabro. And I think we had even more of an appreciation for those ones, and identified ways to use those because we did away with the expectation that it was going to be the next thing. So I think that's all just like it's it's a little bit of maybe a wisdom that we gain. Maybe it's a little bit of a learning moment, but it's also a great moment of just knowing that we were just like, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and our eyes were wide, and we were just like we wanted it all, and we got it. But no, it's
Yeah,
cool.
That was beautiful.
that
Thank
was
you.
beautiful.
Before we go, can you both share your social media handles and websites? So if people want to reach out to you, they know how to do that. Anyone?
Yeah, we are Hop Butcher for the World out of Chicago, Illinois, www.hopbutcher.com. We're across all the socials. All three of them, well, all of them should just be at Hop Butcher. And that's it. We're most active on Instagram. If you want to ask us anything or say anything, usually I'm the one that's replying to it. And yeah, we got a tap room also in Chicago, just about 10 minutes away, and a brewery and a retail store 10 minutes away from Wrigley Field.
Awesome.
I've been there. I loved it.
I have not been, but I've had your beers, but I've not been. And then Eric, if people want to talk to you about USDA and independent hops and other, or walk in a field with you, which I did in September, how do they reach out to you?
I am on the internets. If you Google me, um, Instagram is the most common space for conversation and connection, and that's Eric, ERIC dot Sannerud, which is SANNERUD, Eric dot Sannerud. But if you Google, I show up. And I would love to talk to anybody about anything hops. I just love it.
You sure do. I don't know anyone that, and you usually have treats in the form of really good beers that use your the hops that you talk about. So anyway, they're delicious. So thank you both for coming on to talk about Sabro. This was awesome. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers, everybody.
And we'll be right back to talk about everyone's favorite malt, Crystal Malt, after a word from our sponsors.
Let's talk about brewhouse efficiency. Replacing pellet loads with salvo can not only boost aroma density, but reduce true load and increase beer wort. Seems like simple math, but if it's still not obvious, replacing pellets with salvo can give you more beer per batch with better brewhouse efficiency. Salvo, designed for brewers who are tired of sacrificing yield for aroma.
Escarpment Labs is the official yeast partner of Pink Boots Brews. Their Pink Boots yeast is a versatile German Kolsch strain that works across different beer styles. In light beers, it delivers bright, white wine-like aromatics. In hop-forward beers, it drives clean, citrus-forward biotransformation. Every purchase supports the Pink Boots Society, with 15% of proceeds funding scholarships and professional development for women and non-binary people in brewing. To place an order, email sales@escarpmentlabs.com.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing's non-alcoholic beer tastes so good, you won't believe it's non-alcoholic. Their brews are available at over 75,000 grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, and restaurants nationwide. Or you can grab some of their limited time offerings directly from their website. That's where you'll find exciting innovations like their first ever nitrogen-infused dark brew, Emerald Cliffs. And right now, you can save up to 25% and get a free glass and unlock access to exclusive brews when you sign up for the Athletic Club and purchase 4 or more six-packs. Go to athleticbrewing.com to get brews shipped directly to your door or find retailers near you. Near Beer. Terms and conditions. Certain limitations apply. Athletic Brewing Company. Fit for all times.
Axel Jany is one of the international malt and brewing experts at Weyermann Specialty Malts in Bamberg, Germany. As a trained brewer and maltster with a brewmaster degree from VLB Berlin, Axel has over 39 years of professional brewing experience, and he is the technical contact for Weyermann customers and distribution partners around the globe, and the famous malt house in Bamberg. Axel's role at Weyermann is to offer customer support in all malt and beer-related questions. As a certified Doman's beer sommelier, he also judges at international beer competitions, and he and I have judged together. He's a very nice and very good judge. In his spare time, Axel enjoys the great outdoors with his wife and border collie Isla and his classic Land Rovers. Adam Field is the co-owner and head brewer of Fieldcrest Brewing Company in Wilbraham, Massachusetts. The small brewery and tap room focuses on American and English-style ales, as well as some traditional-style German-style lagers as well. He is particularly fond of cask ale and has made multiple trips to England for research to enjoy a couple of pints. He, by the way, gave me some very good pub recommendations when I went to London last year. Yes, he did. Prior to opening the brewery in 2019, Adam worked over 25 years in the printing industry. His wife Shannon is a partner in the business, and their 2 daughters work part-time at Fieldcrest as well. Adam is a lifelong Massachusetts resident who enjoys music, soccer, restoring old trucks, listening to podcasts, traveling, spending time with family and friends, and of course, beer.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Axel and Adam.
Thanks,
I
Em.
am.
Yeah, no prob. So Axel, I want to start with you. For people who don't know the crystal malt process, how is it made?
Well, at Weyermann, we call it caramel malt, being obviously with that German background. And crystal is more the British name for caramel malt, I suppose. Well, over here, we have roasting drums or caramelization drums. It's sometimes a bit odd because it's the same mechanism. It's the same roasting drum, but we run it either for roasted malts or for caramel malts. And the difference from normal kiln malt is that you have a smaller portion of green malt going into these caramelization drums, and then you can apply uniformly the temperatures that we all know from brewing in mesh conversion. So we are liquefying the starch inside the kernels and then heat up and the enzymes are working during that time. And then after the transformation and having that liquid sugar inside the kernels, we then increase the temperatures depending on the desired caramel malt in process or in production. And then that caramelization or that crystallization takes place, and you've got that crunchy malt kernel, depending on the amount of energy and temperature you put in, from light caramel to very dark caramel.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it.
So, yes. So sorry. So crystal and caramel malt are the same thing?
Yeah.
Ah, I did not know that. I thought they were different. Why did
I thought
think
so too.
Why did I think they were different?
I mean, it's really, I mean, the in English it's a bit easier to explain, with that crystallization, like crystal sugar, that kind of word. But as you know, I mean, Weyermann, we've been having roasting drums since day one in 1879, and back then they were just calling it caramelization. So that was like where all that Cara came from, the Cara Amber, Cara Munich, all of these trademarks of ours.
Mhm.
That comes from the caramelization. So that cara is a short form of caramelization.
Cool.
Very cool.
Adam, with that explanation, what styles of beers do you like working with these types of malts in?
So as he mentioned, the crystal malt or caramel malt comes in various different colors, and certain ones are more appropriate for certain beer styles or others. But I would say crystal malt is commonly used in things like English bitter, American amber, brown ales, Scottish ales, porters, milk stouts, maybe in smaller amounts in pale ales, Irish reds, and some old school IPAs.
Cool.
I do like them in an old school IPA. I know a lot of people don't,
Controversial
but
subject.
I think that they, especially like those old school, what we would call a pre-Obama, like pre-2008 IPA, I think it's really, really nice. Adam, why do you think that crystal malt works so well with like in those type of styles? Are you looking for like a flavor, that's why you use them? Or is it just this is how it's done, so
Or
we're going to
color?
do it that way? Or for color?
Yeah, well, there's a few things. So crystal malt will contribute flavors that are key to certain styles. For example, like a mild candy sweetness to a caramel or toffee characters to the darker crystals, you get like treacle, dried fruit, and raisin. So depending on what your goal is flavor-wise is going to depend on A, if you're using crystal malt, and then B, what color of crystal malt, and then again, of course, how much. But crystal malt can also contribute color since it's a roasted malt. It also contributes some body, mouth feel, and head retention. So there are definitely some positive attributes with crystal malt, but some negative ones as well.
If you're making a recipe, let's say, because I know that you're very keen on English styles, and I've had your English styles. They're very, very good.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. What percentage of, like, let's say your bitter is crystal malt?
I actually have notes on all that.
Of course
So
you do.
yes.
I knew you would come prepared.
Yeah. So that is a 8%.
Oh, okay. So it's not a lot.
Right. So kind of a general guideline in my mind is you don't really want to exceed 10% crystal malt. I've seen some malting companies recommend up to like 15% on things, but that to me is really pushing the limit. But again, the percentages also can be like a heavier percentage of crystal malt could be balanced out with more aggressive bitterness, such as the case of an old school IPA. Like you're drinking an IPA, you don't want the caramel sweetness necessarily coming through strongly. So that's balanced out with aggressive hop bitterness.
8% to me sounds like a specific number. How do you, when you're doing recipe formulation, how do you get to 8 and not 7 or 9?
Well, this particular beer I've been brewing for a while.
Okay.
And so, we've made some tweaks, but I guess kind of the general philosophy I always have is under 10 is good. And then depending on how much of that, in this case, caramel toffee flavor you want coming through is going to have a bearing on where you start. And also color, if you're looking for a certain color, that's going to have some bearing on it as well.
Okay.
But when you say, Adam, that is like 8% or so, I agree with you. I looked through all of my recipes, and none of a single crystal or caramel malt is above 10 in our cases either. But maybe there might be 2 different ones in a recipe or so. It all is part of the layering. In certain beer styles. Obviously, if you're referring to a bitter or an English mild, then it's different. No? Then it's the pale malt and the crystal, and that's it in the malt bill. Or do you have anything else in that one?
Yeah, so I guess to add to that, I've got notes here. Our brown ale is the highest amount of crystal malt I use at 9.3%,
Oh,
and then the dark mild at 8.8.
do you find that the crystal malt presents differently at different percentages, or is it just more intense? Like you were using some flavor descriptors earlier. Is that
So
a
I
function of percentage or?
so I think it comes down to what else is going on in the beer. Are there other specialty malts? Is there, a heavy hop load like an IPA, or is it pretty much a pale malt and the crystal, and that's it. So depending on how many other components there are is going to depend on how much of an impact that is, I think.
Yeah. Axel, do you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess another example I have is our Javelin IPA, which is a West Coast style IPA, little bit of an old school IPA, but not full on. I use 2.5% crystal malt in that, and a lighter colored crystal, a caramel 20 actually.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, I bet that's really good. I like, yeah, a lighter crystal in those. I think it adds a little, and yeah, I've never heard of anyone with West Coast. It's like 1-2%. That's the sweet spot I've heard. So, but Axel, I have a question for you. I've heard that crystal malt or caramel malt oxidizes faster, or it creates oxidation in beers. Is this true, or am I making stuff up?
Mm. Uh, I think some could call it, I mean, the aging process. Obviously, if you have a very crystal or caramel malt forward beer and that ages over time, that sometimes get uh, these attributes that you just described, that you think, oh, this is getting too cloying or too a bit too much. It's sort of aging crystal tends to become sweeter as well, oftentimes in
Oh,
oxidation, and this people pick this out and say, oh, this seems to be aging less good than, for example, a lighter beer or even a stout or porter, where there's not that much crystal going on and more roast coming in.
Interesting. Um, Adam, do you treat your crystal malt differently in terms of how you store it or the quantity in which you order it? And then do you feel it affects the shelf life of your beer when you have, a higher percentage of crystal malt in it then?
So we don't store it any differently than other malt. We're pretty small, so I don't have a lot of storage room anyway. But as far as I lost my train of thought here.
Uh,
You asked about the storage of crystal malt,
Storage,
and what was the
yes.
other?
The quantities in which you order it, which I think it's probably the same answer. And then
Yeah,
also shelf life.
yes, the shelf life. So I have definitely heard the same thing. That was one of the negative parts of crystal malt is that it can kind of possibly lead to faster staling of the beer. So I think that's a bigger consideration in a widely distributed brand that might spend you know some time on a warm supermarket shelf somewhere. I think in a smaller setting like we are, where we're turning beer fairly quickly, we're always keeping it cold, obviously trying to do our best to minimize any oxygen pickup. You have a much better shot at maintaining freshness.
Yeah.
Axel, do
Ax-
you have any thoughts on this as well?
Yeah, no, I also think it's another attribute or why that could happen is when you look at attenuation with the addition of a lot of crystal or caramel malts, your final attenuation might be lower, and then the residual sugar stays higher, and maybe that is also a reason why then the beer, as Adam said, in the supermarket and being warm is deteriorating more or getting a more flavor change than what we would like if it's fresh. On the other hand, on a positive note, I think if us brewers, if we get that right, where you have the brew malt as the yeast feed and the base of the beer, plus a nice amount of caramel malt, gives something where customers appreciate the color as well as the depths and the more flavor layers in the beer rather than in a lager.
Yeah.
Axel, I'll continue this with you. Why do you think there's backlash about crystal malt? Do you think that it's justified? And where does this backlash come from? Is it brewers talking about it? Is it myths about oxidation? Is it like, why do you think that there's so much, or is it just that all beers now are super pale? You know, the kind of the amber beers of yore are a little old fashioned. I don't know. I know I've given you a whole host of like reasons, but I don't know. I'm just I don't know why there's backlash. I mean, I think in my head it's oxidation, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
Well, I mean, from my personal perspective, being a brewer and living in Franconia, and sometimes in a beer garden or in Franconia on the cellar, if you have a malt or caramel malt forward beer, it's sometimes lacking a bit of that sessionability. You know, after one large pint, you've had enough because you think it's not refreshing enough in the summertime. But this is something that us brewers can just brew. For example, at the moment, my favorite beer that we brew here on site is our Red Brick Lager. So it is bottom fermented, but I also have my notes here. Wait a second. It has Special W at 5% and Cara Red at 5%. So Special W is our Arnold Schwarzenegger on the crystal or caramel malts. It's quite that has the dates and the prunes and the dry fruits inside, where Cara Red is more on the medium color one. But in combination with some melanoidin. So you were talking, wow, there's another rich malt, yet with 80% brew malt as a base and a hint of smoke, the composition is beautiful in terms of color, yet it is very sessionable. It's not like you drink one and you think, okay, my tongue is sticking to my mouth, I'm having enough. I just drink another one and another one, despite the fact that it has 10% crystal plus 5% melanoidin in it. So it is again the key of how nicely does it fit into the fermentation, how is the original gravity and what is the residual sugars, and coming here in this long winding answer to an end, I think it's in the recipe of if it's too much or if it's not.
I also think the water profile is a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can you explain a little about it? Yeah, let's go. Talk
Absolutely.
about water chemistry.
Yeah, so generally, kind of the negative impressions of crystal malt I find are, it's cloyingly sweet from overuse, but also depending on the water profile, that can either exaggerate that or minimize it. So a water that's high in gypsum is going to present drier with the same amount of crystal malt than a water profile that is heavier on chlorides. So it's kind of like the gypsum has a drying quality to the finish. Like, it's key for making West Coast IPA. You want that hop profile to be snappier. Whereas if you're looking for a kind of a beer that's softer and rounder, you're going to steer the water profile more towards the chlorides.
Interesting.
And that could be overdone if once it turns into soapiness, and then you think that cloying of the crystal plus that very mild. It's like it's not cleansing your tongue enough for having another sip, and then it's also, the final PA plays a role. But if it's not refreshing, then we feel like it's a bit of a stopper.
That's cool. I like that. I never really thought about that.
I never thought about the water chemistry being an issue. Because
Yeah.
Adam, do you have any other thoughts of why there's backlash with Crystal Malt? Because as I've been to your brewery before and I've had a lot of your beers, and you seem like a man that enjoys Crystal Malt. So I don't know if you have any extra thoughts about that.
Yeah, it's funny. After you reached out for the podcast, I said, "Well, let me think about what beers do I use Crystal Malt?" And I would say it's got to be at least half our beers have Crystal Malt. And as far as the negative backlash, I think it comes from, beers that have too much Crystal Malt, or a combination of too much Crystal Malt and under attenuated. So really kind of finishing a little bit cloying sweet and undesirable. And then the other component is the possible faster staling. And I think both of these factors are probably, I would say, exaggerated at the homebrew scale, where you have possibly a newer homebrewer not having a well attenuated beer or having poor control over oxidation.
So it's the homebrewer's fault, is what you're telling me.
It's a
totally
theory.
Okay.
No,
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I love it. You've given us a lot of things to think about, but is there anything else that you wish people understood about Crystal Malt? And I will start with you, Adam, because you were sort of really heading down that road already.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't think a lot of drinkers think about, I'm going to choose this beer because it has Crystal Malt or not. They're going to choose a beer because they either like the style or have had the beer before, and they may or may not even realize there's Crystal Malt in it. So I guess I have some examples of well-known beers with Crystal Malt that, I guess kind of gives a point of reference for people like, hey, do I enjoy beers with Crystal Malt or not?
Yeah.
So, I mean, things like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, Fuller's ESB, London Pride, Sam Adams Boston Lager, New Belgium's Fat Tire. Like, I mean, these are all pretty well-known beers, been around a long time, continue to use Crystal Malt. So I think there's something to it. I feel that also the use of Crystal Malt is the way to achieve certain flavors that are important to certain styles, like bitters and amber ales and browns, that without the Crystal Malt, it'd be a different beer.
Yeah, I agree. Axel.
Yep.
Further thoughts on that topic? Like, what do you wish people understood about Crystal Malt?
Well, I think it's that combination of how intense do I want? Do I want to go to like a Crystal 150 or Crystal 300, for example? That is two different things. Obviously, it's not just the color, but with that process, there comes more flavor intense, different flavors, and so Crystal is not like Crystal. So there is a whole broad range of the light colored Crystal is giving a completely different approach and a different recipe, and others are on the darker side and on the more heavy side. So I think the malt family of Crystal or caramel malts is a good tool in brewing to define things. Maybe even we're not obviously talking the darkest Crystal, but a light colored Crystal would also be a nice addition in a low or no ABV beer, because it counterbalances the low gravity. for example. So here it is working
Interesting.
not so much as a it's you're not going to make a low or no red beer with it, but by having it at half the gravity or the original strength, and just have maybe 3% of a Carahel or a Crystal Light, you are enhancing the flavor and the depths of the taste in such light beer. And for that reason, I love the opportunities that crystal malts give to the brewers.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
All right. So everyone, you heard it here. Stop hating on crystal malt or caramel malt. They're great. There's certain styles that can't have, that won't exist without them. And amber ales are cool now, apparently, is what I've been told. So this was great. So before we go, what's some ways that people can reach out to you? Do you have a social media or a website? Adam, we'll start with you.
Yeah, our website is fieldcrestbrewing.com. And we are also at Fieldcrest Brewing on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky.
Nice. What about you, Axel?
Well, yeah, you can find me on the Weiermann website. I think in the US it is weiermann.com, if I'm correct, or in Germany it's .de, but I think you know where to find Weiermann. And or you can reach out on Facebook. I'm an old guy. I'm still on Facebook and not so much on Instagram. So see me
That's
there.
fine. Cool. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. This was a great conversation. I really appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Em.
Cheers, Em.
Cheers, Don.
So, Don.
Yes, I think it's more of a so am. Have you turned around on your?
I have not
Okay.
and will not, but I love how Sabro is. It's 2018. It's flying too close to the sun. Flavor, flavor, flavor. We all can't do anything wrong. 3 breweries a day are opening in the United States, like pedal to the metal. That's
Yeah.
what Sabro is. And I like it. It's a snapshot. Do
I
I
see.
want it in my beer? No, I don't. I still don't.
Oh.
But
The farmers like it. Those agronomic numbers were
that
amazing to
is
me.
when Eric came with that, I was like, "Are you?" And like the
I
thing
feel
that,
bad because I interrupted him, but
but
I was so like, what?
I think that's so crazy how like it's such a like unbelievable yield producer,
Yeah.
and I bet when like HB when they were creating it, they're like, "This is it. This is the one," and then everyone was like, "Womp womp womp
Wah,
womp." Like
wah.
it was just it's and it's lower yield, like, or it's not yield, it's lower planting, I think reflects the broader trend at the time. And then I want to say conversely, crystal malt's usage now with the growth of kind of like these brew pub style amber ales and a nod to like everything 90s. I think crystal malt may have a new lease on life, and so maybe its hatred will be diminished because I don't
Ah.
think it deserves.
Sort of like flip phones, they're coming back too.
Yeah, like and the kids are wearing the really low cut jeans, and I apparently which is awful. Good for them that they can pull that off because I sure as hell can't. But I think where Sabro lowers, Crystal rises. And I think it's a waxing and waning.
Oh, wow.
That's what I
That
think
was
this.
so philosophical there.
You're welcome.
Amazing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey, can we be friends?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can. Everyone, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And please go to allaboutbeer.com/support to support this show and others. If you have questions for the experts, email podcast@allaboutbeer.com. That's also the email for feedback, suggestions on future episodes, inquiring about supporting the show through advertising. We'd love to hear from you. So, Don, how should people reach
Yes.
out to you?
I am at the Dawn of Beer on X Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram. And if you want to talk about water chemistry and how it affects the flavor of crystal malt, then please drop me an email, dawn@thedawnofbeer.com. How about you, Em?
I am at Pints and Panels on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and my website is www.pintsandpanels.com. Here is a final word from our sponsor.
What can I say? Once you go salvo, you don't go back. Better yields, repeatable performance, and fewer hop solids to drag you down. No more heavy hop loads, no bitterness spikes, just variety-specific hop flavor. It's the easiest way to sharpen your aroma profile while improving your yields batch after batch. Find out more at shop.hotsteiner.com or ask a sales rep how Salvo can help you.
Escarpment Labs is the official yeast partner of Pink Boots Brews. Their Pink Boots yeast is a versatile German Kolsch strain that works across different beer styles. In light beers, it delivers bright, white wine-like aromatics. In hop-forward beers, it drives clean, citrus-forward biotransformation. Every purchase supports the Pink Boots Society, with 15% of proceeds funding scholarships and professional development for women and non-binary people in brewing. To place an order, email sales@escarpmentlabs.com.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing's non-alcoholic beer tastes so good, you won't believe it's non-alcoholic. Their brews are available at over 75,000 grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, and restaurants nationwide. Or you can grab some of their limited time offerings directly from their website. That's where you'll find exciting innovations like their first ever nitrogen-infused dark brew, Emerald Cliffs. And right now, you can save up to 25% and get a free glass and unlock access to exclusive brews when you sign up for the Athletic Club and purchase 4 or more six-packs. Go to athleticbrewing.com to get brews shipped directly to your door or find retailers near you. Near Beer. Terms and conditions. Certain limitations apply. Athletic Brewing Company. Fit for all times.
This show is produced by All About Beer. Visit allaboutbeer.com for articles, notes on this show and others, and to connect via the newsletter and social media. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Coconut. No coconut. Only in stouts. Coconut stouts. Juice, just coconut, people. Come on.